Today I'm breaking down why Israel striking targets in Yemen matters to you, even if you live thousands of miles away. This is not only about the Middle East. It hits shipping, oil prices, grocery bills, and the balance of power between the United States, China, and Russia. I will keep this simple and direct. Yemen is a poor country, but its location is powerful. At the south end of the Red Sea, there is a narrow waterway called the Bab el-mandeb Strait. Think of it like a toll booth for the world's ocean traffic. About 1/10 of the world's seaborne oil passes through this pinch point. A lot of container ships pass there too. When a country strikes targets in Yemen, it is not just hitting land. It is sending a message about the lane that much of the world needs to stay open. If that lane looks risky, ships pay higher insurance, some ships reroute, and the cost of moving fuel and goods goes up. Even rumors can raise prices because markets move on fear and risk, not only on actual damage. Israel's strike widens a war that was already spreading across borders. Yemen's Houthi forces are aligned with Iran, so a strike on Yemen is not only about Yemen. It is a signal in a larger contest with Iran and with anyone who depends on oil moving safely through the Red Sea. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates need stable shipping. China needs those routes because it buys so much Gulf oil and has built ports and trade links under the Belt and Road Plan. The message is simple. Your routes are vulnerable. That warning shakes confidence. Oil is the main output for modern life. It fuels cars, trucks, powers factories, and helps make fertilizer that grows food. When oil moves through a risky zone, insurers raise premiums, shippers raise prices, and traders push futures higher. This can happen even before a single tanker is destroyed. Central banks in the United States and Europe already face a tough choice. If they raise interest rates to fight inflation, growth slows. If they hold rates low, prices can surge. A war scare that lifts oil prices makes this choice even harder. And it can lead to stagflation, which means slow growth with sticky inflation. For people in poorer countries that import most of their fuel, price spikes hit fast. Bus fares go up. Food transported by trucks costs more, and local currencies can weaken. Protest and political stress often follow. When fuel costs rise, shipping costs rise. That flows into food, building materials, and rent. Companies try to protect profits by raising prices or cutting costs. That can mean fewer hours, slower hiring, or layoffs. Wealthy investors can hedge risk with assets. Regular workers cannot. So the pain is not equal. This is why a strike in Yemen shows up at your grocery store and gas pump. The path from the Red Sea to your receipt is short. Yemen has already suffered years of civil war, disease, and hunger. More strikes make it harder to deliver aid, repair roads, or keep clinics open. Families that were barely getting by can fall into famine. Children grow up malnourished and traumatized. Those scars last. When big powers fight for advantage, small countries carry the heaviest burden. Israel does not act in a vacuum. The United States gives Israel military aid, equipment, and diplomatic support. But this moment shows the limits of American power. The United States is still huge, but its share of the world economy has declined compared to the combined rise of countries like China and India. Federal debt is very high. The public is divided. The middle class feels squeezed. When Washington backs wider war, it risks more money, more missions, and more strain. There is also a credibility problem. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the West called it illegal aggression. When Israel expands into Yemen, many in the world see different language and different standards. People in the global South notice this. Credibility is part of power. If it fades, influence fades. At home, Americans are tired of forever wars. They see bridges and schools that need help while billions go abroad. Defense contractors do well, but many families do not. That gap grows resentment. Europe cut most energy ties with Russia after the Ukraine war. It turned to oil and gas from the Middle East and Africa. Now the Red Sea looks less safe. So Europe faces another supply headache. Higher energy costs push factories to close or move. Communities lose jobs, and politics gets tense. Protests over prices and austerity can grow, and centrist parties can shrink while both left and right gain energy. China wants steady shipping and steady oil. It presents itself as a mediator who prefers deals over bombs. Russia wants the United States stretched and distracted. Both countries point to Western double standards and offer themselves as alternatives, even if they have their own flaws. The more Washington looks inconsistent, the easier it is for China and Russia to build new trade blocs, push non-dollar deals, and sign security agreements. That chips away at U.S.-led order. Global capitalism runs just-in-time shipping through tight choke points. It needs stability, but power politics often use threats and strikes to gain control, and those actions cause the instability that the system cannot handle. It is a self-made problem. To protect the system, leaders take actions that shake the system. The result is a loop. A strike raises risks. Markets react. Prices rise. Central banks tighten or hesitate. Growth slows. Regular people feel the squeeze. Anger rises at home, which makes politics harder, which then feeds more risky choices abroad. Here are the simple signposts that tell you where this goes. Shipping insurance in the Red Sea. If premiums keep rising, costs will flow into prices within weeks. Tanker routes. If more tankers reroute around Africa, transit times and fuel use jump, and prices follow. Oil futures. A steady climb signals long-lasting risk, not just a headline spike. Gulf state posture. If Saudi Arabia and the UAE inch closer to China and Russia for hedging, U.S. influence is slipping. Protests over prices. Watch lower-income importers first, then Europe. Bread and fuel protests mean the pressure is real. U.S. politics. Rising gas prices plus visible foreign spending is a tough mix in any election cycle. There are practical steps. Naval escorts can reduce risk. Back-channel talks can set rules, like no strikes near shipping lanes. Aid corridors can be protected. But these steps require trust and real diplomacy. They also reduce short-term leverage that some leaders want. Defense firms profit from tension. Traders profit from volatility. So the system often rewards escalation, not restraint. Every part of the story lands on ordinary people. In Yemen, it is life and death. In Europe and the United States, it is higher bills and less job security. In poorer countries, it is price spikes that can push families over the edge. The wealthy can hedge. Working families cannot. That is why this matters. Is this only a regional fight? No. It links to global shipping and energy. Will prices jump overnight? Sometimes yes, sometimes slowly. Markets move on fear first, then on real damage. Either way, the direction is up when risk rises. Does this show U.S. decline? It shows strain and mixed signals. The United States still has power, but credibility and resources are stretched. Rivals are using that opening. Is there a simple fix? No. It requires de-escalation, clear rules on shipping lanes, and consistent standards for all countries, not double standards. It also needs investment at home, so people see benefits, not only costs. A strike in a poor country can shake a rich world because the system is tightly linked. That system keeps working only if key lanes stay safe and if leaders choose stability over short-term shows of force. When leaders choose force near choke points, they gamble with your bills, your job, and the safety of people who did nothing wrong. To sum up, Israel's strike in Yemen is more than a headline. It's a trigger that raises risk in a vital sea lane. It pushes up costs, exposes the limits of U.S. leadership, and invites rivals to step in. The people who pay first are Yemen civilians. The people who pay next are workers and families around the world. If you found this breakdown useful, share it with someone who hears Middle East and thinks it will not touch their life. It already has. Subscribe for clear updates and tell me in the comments what signpost you want me to track next. Shipping insurance, tanker routes, or oil futures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
So Ray Dalio
who runs the biggest hedge fund in the world, is warning that the United States debt and deficits are out of control. His recommendation now is that you have at least 15% of your assets in either gold or Bitcoin. He points to the 5,000-year track record of gold and also has come to the realization that Bitcoin, due to its digital scarcity, is now being adopted by multi-trillion-dollar balance sheet companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. With that being said, with our partners Goldco, you can move part of your assets in your 401k to gold. And with our other partner Coinbase, it allows you to buy Bitcoin as little as $50 and keep it in self-custody, which is where everybody recommends you keep it so it cannot be manipulated and taken away from you. So check out our links in the description.